Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz. I'm joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck, and we are previewing the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Kind of a cliche at this point. I don't care. This is my favorite football weekend of the year. I feel like now everyone says that. I don't care. Conference title games are my favorite day, but this is my favorite
everyone
weekend.
says that. Heifetz was first on that train.
I was the first person to ever think, hey, this last weekend where the best teams play on Saturday and Sunday, that's my favorite weekend. I'm the only one who thought of that. But it is the best weekend of the year, though. This is like it's wall-to-wall football, not an aggressive Monday to Thursday to Monday way, but it's just like 4 awesome games over 2 days.
And national championship on Monday.
And the national championship on Monday, among other things on Monday. So we're going to get in all the games. We're doing our picks contest. I'll explain that at the end of the first game. So we're going to go through them all year. Not all year. We're going to go through them all here. Quick reminder, doing the NFL draft show. So if you've been with us for the season, remember, we cover the offseason too. So don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. Doing draft show.
Don't touch that dial.
Frankly, DK is scouting way too many players for you to stop listening when the season ends. So please.
Doing all this work, you better listen.
Oh my God, he's going to lose his mind if you guys stop listening during the offseason. I can't tell you how much his mental health will decline if everyone leaves. So please stick with us, not just for the playoffs, but also the offseason. So for DK's sake. Boys, this is a big deal. We have, 100% seriously said every single week there was a game of the year. There actually is the game of the year this year. And this is the actual one, or at least part. We have the Baltimore Ravens are at the Buffalo Bills this week. Ravens are favored by 2.5 points.
Is it up to 2.5?
Well, now it's 1.5, actually. Sorry, 1.5.
Well, this game started as the Bills were favored by 1.5, and then it switched all the way over to the Ravens minus 1.5. It got to 2.5?
Well,
I'm going off of 1.5. I checked like a half an hour
I'm
ago.
checking right now on FanDuel. The line right now is
it's 1.5.
Ravens are giving 1.5 points.
But there was a moment where it was up to 2.5?
No, I probably just typed the wrong button, honestly.
Okay.
1 versus 2. If I'm being totally honest, because I
probably
don't
just
have it
fat-fingered
both ways, which means I fat-fingered that. But it doesn't matter. But 2.5 sounds, honestly, I was probably incepting myself because the Ravens won by 25 in week 4, so I probably did
35
25,
to 10.
2.5.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't know how many teams have ever started out as an underdog to a team that they won by 25 points, even if it's in Buffalo. But this is an overused word, but this game, I think this is an epic football game. I think this is the best divisional round game we've had probably since the Bills-Chiefs divisional round game a few years ago that lived up to the hype. But I mean, this is, for all the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen MVP stuff this year, like the winner of this game is the MVP, right? Like we will remember it as a hollow award if the winner of the MVP does not get the win in this game. I know we use that word epic too much, but this to me is like, I don't know. The weight of this game is so much larger than just the season. Like this carries with it, like the pecking order of how we will remember like this, like, I don't know if 5 years is an era, but like there is an era or a mini era of football here. That's like, this game was probably going to be a part of how we remember this stretch of NFL football.
Is it weird that it's in the divisional round and not the championship round? Like, do you think that's going to get sort of lost to history?
The funny thing about all of this is like whoever wins this game, there's going to be a week of blowing smoke up their ass and how great they are, and then they're just going to lose to Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly. No, really though, this is like a real inflection point in how we'll remember NFL history, because it's like if the Chiefs, and again, maybe the Chiefs lose to the Texans, but like, does anyone really think that's going to happen outside of Houston fans? Probably not. So assuming that the winner of this game, Bills-Ravens, goes to play the Chiefs, let's be honest. If we don't have, I don't think we have to be afraid to use these words. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl again and get the first three-peat, like Mahomes is going to be our generation's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it's going to, like, he's going to be like the football MJ where the 90s NBA, we just remember people as it's Michael Jordan. There's people who played with Michael Jordan and people who lost to Michael Jordan. And then even like
Sonics lost to Michael Jordan.
There you go. Like that's how you remember. Even Hakeem, like
that was the glory days of the Sonics, and they lost to Jordan.
Yeah, exactly.
That was like my glory days.
Patrick Ewing, Stockton, and Malone. It's like these are all just characters in Michael Jordan's story.
Who do you think Mahomes' rival is? Like a lot of people said MJ didn't really have a true adversary in the 90s. Who does Mahomes have one? If you ask Mahomes, who's your biggest rival? Who is your biggest adversary? Is it the Niners? Is it Joe Burrow? Is it Lamar Jackson? It's not Lamar Jackson.
The first thing that came to my mind was Burrow.
Burrow, the Bengals would say Burrow because he's the only one to beat him in a championship game along with Brady. I think if Mahomes wins this year, it's Tom Brady because at that point, Mahomes is chasing history. Like right now, Mahomes
but I'm
is
saying
20
like who is his foe like in the game? Not like legacy-wise. Sure, it would become Brady if he wins. It probably already is Brady. But I'm saying like year in, year out, there is no head-to-head this guy versus that guy, Bird versus Magic for Mahomes. There's not.
No, not even close. Because again, the Bills have beaten the Chiefs actually 4 straight years in the regular season, which is crazy. But the Chiefs eliminated Buffalo from the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years, right? So it's the Bills, but it's not the Bills. The Ravens haven't even gotten far enough to play the Chiefs in the playoffs till last year when the Chiefs beat them, right? And then the Bengals, I don't think the Bengals have beaten the Chiefs in 2 years. So you know what I mean? It's kind of like, maybe it's Burrow, maybe it's Josh, but like realistically, the Bills beat them, The Bills are the only team that beat Kansas City this year when they were playing the starters. So I think it's probably Buffalo, but either way, like both these teams have so much playoff baggage. I think the Bills losing 4 Super Bowls in a row in the 90s, imagine if that happened in the internet era. It almost doesn't get talked about enough.
My God. I know that's the most brutal thing I've ever heard of.
It's unbelievable.
in the sports world. Yeah.
Well, this Bills team though is the best team they've had, I would say, since 2021. That team lost in the divisional round. So if the Bills lose this weekend, it's like the 2 best Bills team of the Josh Allen era might lose in the divisional round. And if you're the Ravens, you're going to feel even further. You should have made the Super Bowl last year. And now you're not even getting the conference title game. It's like the winner of this game gets the chance to prevent the Michael Jordan Mahomes era of like what Craig just said. The winner of this game has the opportunity to frankly knock the Chiefs off their fucking pedestal and like change how we remember this era, like be the Bird to the Magic. You know what I mean?
There's so many implications for narratives of this game.
Yeah.
This is a mini Jim Kelly run the Bills are on because the Bills have lost 3 straight consecutive divisional rounds. So if they lose this week, it'll be 4 in a row, just like they lost 4 Super Bowls. And it'll be 3 in a row at home they'll have lost in the divisional round.
Is it 3 in a row? Wow, because they made the conference title game once and they lost. I guess that was the first Mahomes. God, that's crazy.
4 straight divisional losses if they lose this week, which is pretty wild.
But I think that's your point. I think that think that's a good point though, Craig, where it's like this game, the stakes of this game are you have the opportunity to change how we remember this part of football. It's like, does Mahomes have a rival or not? And if you beat him, yes. And if not, then like you're just a character in Mahomes' story. The winner gets to like maybe have their own story. And the loser, frankly, it's going to suck. Like it's kind of reminds me of Kevin Durant when you lose to the Warriors, even when you're up. It's like, even though both these teams are so good, the loser will never feel so much further from getting to the Super Bowl just because you know what I mean? To have such a good team and to not even make the Final Four is so brutal. But
you know what's weird about this game? So we're doing a middle seat playoff picks tournament where if you're not following along, we're picking the spreads of every game in the playoffs. And the loser at the end of the season has to fly home in the middle seat when we all go from New Orleans to LA. They have to raw dog their middle seat flight home, which means no phones, no screens, no music, no books, nothing. While the other two.
By the way, we booked the flight already.
We did.
Yeah, we booked it.
We're there. Like we got the whole aisle.
I took
the whole
middle
row.
Seat to reverse jinx myself into because I kind of was like, I'll take it.
So right now the score is I have 7 points and you 2 have 3 each.
You went 5-1 against the spread last week.
Craig's a cocky motherfucker right now. Good. Craig's feeling himself.
Yeah, and we have a money ball pick where one game you get 3 points if you get it right. The others are 1. So it's funny. So this game, the spread, the Bills are getting 1.5 points at home. Mm-hmm. All the other spreads are pretty big, basically a touchdown or more. And yet, I feel like this spread is one that most people feel confident in more than the other spreads in that I bet you a majority of people will be taking the Ravens, and I bet both of you are taking the Ravens. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I actually changed my mind, and I'm taking the Bills and the points.
Are you?
I am because, I don't have to explain why the Ravens are good. I mean, I was at that Ravens-Steelers game a week ago. I was in the press box, and I remember just watching that game and thinking, like, the only team that can beat the Ravens is themselves. Like, I really feel that way.
Which has happened many times before.
That's kind of what I keep thinking about. That's what I keep thinking about. It's like, this is a team, it's like Zay Flowers. I feel like he's not going to play this game if he does, at receiver,
Because it feels like the Bills 100%. Don't beat themselves. The Bills get really fucking close to winning and then something insane happens and they lose.
What I came down to at the end of the day was, and I'm not going to pretend like Lamar or Josh are significantly better than the other, but what it came down to at the end of the day for me was everything in my head is telling me that I should take the Ravens. And everything in my heart is like Josh Allen and Buffalo at home with the points. Like in my spirit, I've watched so much Josh Allen this year where I'm like, I will not want in the fourth quarter to be against Josh Allen, even if it means you're exposing yourself. Because let's be real, if someone wins this game by 20, it's the Ravens. The Ravens are much more likely to win this game by 20 than the Bills. I do not see the Bills blowing themselves out outside of the Ravens literally like collapsing like a dying star and like, imploding on themselves. But it's weird that I came to that because I don't know about you guys. When I look at this game, at the end of the day, I feel a little dumb thinking about Buffalo because I'm like, well, the Ravens ran for 270 yards when they played in week 4. 270 yards, and they won by 25 points. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, part of me is a little worried that the Bills will honestly be able to stop the run at all and stop Derrick Henry and Lamar at all.
The Ravens are scary because what I like to do is I honestly just, my favorite thing to do in determining these games is just to go look at their schedule this year, look at who they played. Now that we have the context, we know what every team was, and look how their schedule fared. The Ravens have played a lot of good teams this year, and they've beat a lot of them. They've played 11 playoff teams this year, and they went 8-3 in those games.
Dude, that's wild.
11.
Yeah, that's the most in the league. Battle-hardened.
Truly battle-hearted. They lost to the Raiders in week 2, long time ago. We don't think about that. But it is like Heifetz said, everything kind of points you towards the Ravens. The Bills, on the other hand, have had less of a difficult schedule. However, they beat the Chiefs and they beat the Lions. And that is what I'm like lingering to, is that this team can still get there when they need to, and that Josh Allen just has that. I've seen Josh Allen do it in the clutch enough, even though he hasn't gotten to the Super Bowl. That the 13-second game with the Chiefs. I've seen him do it in crucial moments, and I feel like with Lamar, it hasn't quite been there yet. One of them is going to do it, but I agree with Heifetz that when I initially saw that the line switched to the Bills getting points at home, I was like, out of sheer respect for Josh Allen in the city of Buffalo, I was like, this is actually disrespectful. Josh Allen getting points at home is disrespectful.
I totally agree. I kind of was going to take the points no matter what. I think these teams are so good that I kind of just want the points, especially if it's Josh Allen and the Bills. But to be clear,
they're undefeated at home this year, Buffalo, by the way.
But the Bills are underdogs for a reason. And my fear taking Buffalo, I guess in a nutshell, is I kind of think Josh Allen has to just be the best possible version of him. Like, I think there's very little margin for error. And my fear is that the Ravens might remind us in this game that there's no real weapons in the passing game in Buffalo. You know what I mean? Like, unless Amari
I mean, are there on Baltimore? I know they have Derrick Henry, but like, Zay Flowers might not play.
Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely.
Rashad Bateman's
been really good this year.
I would still take, if Zay Flowers is not playing, I would take Buffalo's receiving core than Baltimore's.
Ooh, I would not.
I don't feel that way.
Really?
No,
not even close.
No.
What? Really? Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Matt Collins, Amari Cooper. You wouldn't take that group?
Shakir is a reliable guy with the hands, but I mean, I do not. I mean, I find nothing.
Ty Johnson. I would take Buffalo's.
No, I don't find any of that like reliable in the passing game.
Who's a reliable receiver on the Ravens? Don't say Rashad Bateman.
I don't think either. No, well, I think Bateman's actually played much better in the last 6 weeks than he has in years. But either way, the point though is that I don't find either of these teams receiving core particularly inspiring. I think Mark Andrews is playing really well right now. We haven't wanted to admit it because he burned us in the first 8 weeks of the season. But Mark Andrews is playing very well, better than Kincaid or Knox. But I think that with Josh, like, no offense to James Cook, but he's kind of getting lumped in with all these other running. Like, he's playing well. He's not Derrick Henry. And I fear that we will watch this game, and if the Bills can't keep up with Baltimore, we will remember that, oh yeah, right. The Bills are trotting out, like Amari Cooper. I meant to mention Greg Rosenthal earlier, who pointed out that the Bills had a 6th offensive lineman on the field, almost as much as they had Amari Cooper on the field. Part of that's because they were running the ball so much, but Amari Cooper has not necessarily made an impact on this Bills team this season. And then after that, it's Keon Coleman, who is still at the end of the day a raw rookie. Matt Collins is still like a very important contributor to this team, but we haven't seen that necessarily in a huge passing game, in a game of this magnitude. Like, I know that again, this is a team that had the longest stretch of 30-point games tied the record in NFL history. I believe they went back to like the 07 Patriots or the 13 Broncos or something, one of the greatest offenses we've ever seen. But I'm just worried that in this playoff atmosphere, like, we'll be like, oh yeah, now the Tuxedos are kind of fucked up. Like, it's Matt Collins and Keon Coleman out there, and I'm a little worried about it. But
well, why are you omitting Khalil Shakir?
I love Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir is the man. I just wonder about after Khalil Shakir, because
Kyle
Hamilton's out there. Kyle Hamilton's like the best defender in the NFL that's not on a defensive line.
I mean, yeah, I guess I see a little bit. I see those guys a little bit better than you do. Mark Andrews is great, but like, you have Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar are your 2 wide receivers.
What do you think, DK?
So wait, are you guys both picking the Bills then?
I'm taking the Bills out of the principle of I think the Ravens are the better team. But I'm just taking the Bills out of the principle of like, the Bills are at home and getting points with Josh Allen, and I've seen too much Josh Allen this season to not take him. I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, so maybe I'm talking out both sides of my mouth here.
That's like kind of like what I landed on, is like, I literally picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, so it'd be silly if I picked the Bills in this game. I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah.
I'm taking them because I think ultimately at the end of the day, like Lamar and Josh, kind of a wash. Like they're both extremely good, impossible to defend. Both can pull plays out of their ass. Both could do amazing things. And I'm just like looking at the rest of the teams, like the rest of the team, each team. I feel like the Ravens are just much better than the Bills after. Obviously, and it's like so close because the Bills being at home is a huge thing too. But I mean, past that's like both of these teams have like playoff disappointment, tons of pressure on them to like get over this narrative. I don't think like either team has like a huge advantage in terms of like the narrative or whatever. And the Ravens have Derrick Henry. I think they're going to run the hell out of Derrick Henry. They did that last time. I understand that now the Bills have some different guys back on defense that's going to help them out.
He ran for 200 yards in week 4.
200 yards.
200 yards.
The first play the Ravens ran in that game was like a 70, like Derrick Henry ran for like 70 yards.
I fear that when this game starts, if the first handoff to Derrick Henry goes for 9 yards, I'm going to be like, I'm fucked.
You remember last game? It was the first play from scrimmage was a 75-yard Derrick Henry touchdown.
And I'll be honest, I've been wavering. I've been wavering on this the whole time because when I was at that Steelers-Ravens game, I just remember, and I know the Steelers are just worse, but I just remember thinking the whole time, like the only team that can beat the Ravens is the Ravens. Like the Ravens are so good.
And honestly, like I'm picking the Ravens. I do not feel comfortable at all with it. I don't feel super confident. I'm doing it because I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, and because both of you guys are picking.
Oh, I see. I'm annoyed.
You're both picking. See, now you're both picking the Bills, and now I'm like, I have to kind of. This is where I'm gonna like plant my flag. I'm either gonna lose or win on this game, and I'm making this my money ball.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
The other lines are impossible. What are we fucking doing with these other lines? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's like I'm looking at all the other games. I'm like, I don't fucking know. These lines are so like difficult. They're big lines, you know.
They are. The thing I keep thinking about wondering in the Ravens game is Lamar and Derrick Henry is like, what are they going to do in the read option? And I actually kind of think the Steelers should have stuck with what they were doing where early in the game where they were kind of like that first drive. They basically just had TJ Watt attack Derrick Henry every time that like, you know, the read option. It's like, oh, it's like you're not even blocking TJ Watt. You're just kind of like, all right, if you go to the quarterback, it goes to the running back, vice versa. If it goes to the running back, quarterback keeps it. And they were like, TJ Watt's going to just attack Derrick Henry and force Lamar to keep it. And Lamar had 5 straight runs. And I'm kind of like, I actually kind of think that's what the Bills should do is force Lamar the ball in his hands because I kind of think you need to hit him. It's 20 degrees, and I'm like, hit him, make him carry it 20 plus times because I know this insane. Like, oh, get the ball in Lamar's hands, the MVP. That's what the Ravens want. But I do think that sometimes in a game, you need to fucking hit the goddamn quarterback. And I do think that if Lamar is so goddamn impossible to hit in the pocket, I kind of think it's not the worst thing in the world to try to see if you can hit him 6 or 7 times in the first half as a runner because I don't know. The first drive, I just remember Watt and I think it was Cam Hayward or maybe Heifetz they just converged on Lamar and they just knocked him into the turf. And, you know, I'm not saying like you want to hurt Lamar or anything, but football's a violent game. And like the Giants won 2 Super Bowls because they kicked the shit out of Tom Brady in the first quarter.
Rip his head off.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, I kind of think the Bills need to just hit him, dude. Like, I don't know.
Craig, you said that you're annoyed because I'm zigging while you're zagging. I actually did have this written down before the show.
No. I actually thought that both of you were going to take Baltimore.
I have changed my mind on this a lot this week. Maybe I'll do it again.
But honestly, like I don't feel good about you. I don't feel good about this choice at all. I'm like, anything could happen. It would not surprise me whatsoever if the Bills win. I just think,
it's one of those things where if you read an article about like the Ravens, you side with the Ravens. Then if you read an article about the Bills, you side with the Bills. Even on the narrative side, it's like Lamar's been building up to this moment. It's no bullshit this year. He's like sick of losing in the playoffs, and you're like, wow. Lamar, he continues to mature. Like he sees everything so clear this year. And then you go read an article about Josh Allen and it's the exact same thing. And you're like, man, I really don't know who to pick. Ultimately, home team getting points. Josh Allen losing the MVP. Honestly, I also is a little bit of fuck you where I think he's going to be like, you're going to come into my house, win the MVP and then beat me on my turf.
I think about that too. And again, I get it. It doesn't, I want to reiterate, everything in my head is kind of telling me I should pick the Ravens. Like my head is telling me the Ravens are a better team. And the Ravens, frankly, I don't know if the Bills can stop the Ravens running the ball. But in my gut, there is something just telling me that I want the Bills in this game. And I think it's a combination of, I don't know. I'm going to take the Bills and I'm taking the points too.
You know what the stupid thing about all this is?
What?
Is like it's going to come down to some random fucking play,
Yeah.
some turnover
Some
by like
fumble.
Mac
Dude,
Hollins. You know what I mean? Like
Chargers.
it's going to be like Lamar versus Allen, and it's going to come down to like some random fucking guy is going to fumble the ball.
Justice Hill will fumble in the fourth quarter.
Right. 100%.
And I actually think, you know what I really think about this game on that note? I actually think this game is going to be a lot like the Super Bowl with this year's Super Bowl Chiefs Niners, in that the whole game changed when Dre Greenlaw got hurt with the Achilles running onto the field. I mean, that's not even my opinion.
Random.
I think that was a lot of people's opinion, but Kyle Shanahan admitted that this year. He was like, that was a before and after, and then everything the Chiefs did, they went heavy with tight ends, and poor Oren Burks, who I think is on the Eagles now, he wasn't ready. And I kind of do wonder if there's just going to be an injury, that these teams are so matched in a way, and I kind of wonder if it's like, as much as we talk about the best players, I'm kind of like, I don't know, if Christian Benford goes down in the Bills, I'm kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen there. It's like sometimes it's just the people you don't end up talking
Fate decides.
about. Yeah, fate decides. But so
it's going to be a great game, though.
Okay, so DK, you're taking, I'm not moneyballing this game, but you're moneyballing.
I'm moneyballing it because I feel like I'm behind and I have to go for it.
Well,
this is like
tied.
sort of like just my flag plant. If I lose betting on the Ravens, then so be it.
Luckily, with this game,
fair.
I won't feel like an idiot regardless of who I pick.
Right.
It's one of those situations.
Well,
which is nice.
if the Ravens come out and I'm just trying to think of a hypothetical scenario. If the Ravens ran for 270 yards, and
135,
won by 25 points, which they did literally.
That was in
September
Baltimore,
29th.
though, right?
Yeah, you think that's the home field advantage is the 25
point? Yeah. No, probably not.
23 and a half, technically. Yeah. That's
also, I wonder what the weather
Craig,
will be like.
Won't that make us feel really dumb? What if the Ravens just do it again?
But it's the Bills. It's the Bills. You can't feel dumb betting on the Bills.
If they run for 270 yards again, I'll feel dumb.
Look, if I take
sure,
if I take the Texans plus 8.5 and Mahomes wins by 30, then I will feel dumb.
That's fair. It's just the Bills, frankly, are too much of a feel good story to not want to be on their side. So Craig and I are on Bills plus 1.5. I bet we're going to be the big minority on that, Craig. I feel like a lot of people are going to Ravens.
I agree.
Although the money on this game is actually 50-50 in the public betting market.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
I think when you watch all the pregame shows, I think the majority will pick Baltimore, is my guess.
I think that's true as well. All right, so we'll see. Next game here, I want to start with, unless we could go in a different direction if you guys want, but I want to go to the. We could go in chronological order, Chiefs Texans, or I kind of want to just dude. There's the vibes game of the year this year. It's like the Bills,
this is
Ravens
the other game of the year.
Is game of the year. Vibes game of the year. The good vibes game of the year is Washington at Detroit, and the Lions are favored by 8.5. Detroit is America's team, the number one seed. They are the number one seed in the NFC. They're home.
It's
at
wild
Ford
saying
Field.
that, by the way.
Yeah, the Lions are the number one seed. Everyone in America whose teams have been eliminated, unless you're literally in the divisional rival, everyone wants the Lions to make the Super Bowl. This is the best thing in professional sports in years. And amazingly, if the Lions were not existing this year, Washington would be the Cinderella team. Like literally, Dan Snyder's gone. The Wicked Witch is dead. Ding dong. Dan Snyder had more federal investigations than playoff wins as the owner. Literally,
remember
Dan
when
Snyder.
The DEA raided their locker room?
The DEA raided the Washington headquarters. It was
like
not one of
they're
the
a
five
fucking cartel or something.
Imagine being a rookie.
Largest
and you're like,
problems they have.
what's going on?
Where am I?
Dude,
What did I get myself involved in here?
I wrote a very large story on Washington and the resurgence in the city. I live here in DC for the Ringer. Shameless plug. Check it out. I put a lot of work into it. And I literally, I'm not even kidding. I made that comment that I've made on the show that the DEA raided Washington's headquarters. That was not one of the 5 largest problems they had.
God.
And they were like, are you sure? Rank them. And I was like, I actually think it's not top 8. I actually ranked them all. And I was like, yeah, it's not even close. But the point being, now the first season without this fucking Dan Snyder is now Washington won the first playoff game in 20 years. And they already have the most wins in a season since 1991, which is actually the season they beat the Lions in the NFC Championship game.
Wow.
So
what do you think Dan Snyder thinks about all this?
I've been wondering if he's watching.
God damn it.
He has a super yacht. He copied Jerry Jones' super yacht, and he has one. And is he just in the Mediterranean, watching on television, or is he not watching?
He's watching.
I would be watching.
Yeah,
he must be
watching.
so mad.
He's just seething right now.
I would pay pay-per-view to watch Dan Snyder watch this game. But I don't know. I think
he's out in international waters because he can't come ashore without getting arrested for some reason.
DK, do you think, I feel like, I think we all agree Lions are going to score in this game. The over-under is 55. Yes. Do you think Washington can keep up? Because I think that's kind of the whole conversation.
I mean, ultimately, no, I don't. I think this is like going to be such a fun game. Obviously, like you said, it's going to be high scoring. Both of these teams are like up there with the Eagles in terms of like, we're just playing with 4 downs. Everyone else is playing with 3 downs. We're playing with 4. Yeah. Like, we don't care. We have an extra down to use if we're past the 50-yard line. And I think that's such a massive advantage. It's so wild. I saw this from Rich Rebar. Detroit has punted at the lowest rate in the league this year, and Washington is second. There might be no punts in this game.
I think that's a good. They didn't punt against the Giants, so this game inspired me to look up what was the record for most 4th down attempts in a game combined.
Yeah,
I couldn't find any in NFL history that had more than 8 successful 4th down conversions.
Oh, successful. Okay,
it's a few years ago. The Bills beat the Patriots in December, and it was like the Bills had 5, the Pats had 3, kind of in a comeback, but like. Kind of a nothing game, but like I wouldn't be surprised. Like basically, but if you look at the playoffs, only a few times in the history of the NFL has one team hit 4 4th downs successfully in a playoff game. Mm-hmm. I swear to God, I think both teams might do it this week. Like I think it's in range. Like I really think this is going to be one of the most aggressive games we've ever seen in 4th down.
There's going to be some fourth down one-upsmanship from both of these coaches.
It's a dick measuring contest.
I just loved it. Last week especially is like the Dan Quinn thing of like, oh, he's really just leaning into this. Like he does not care at this point. He's just going to continue to go for 4th down. They missed a couple early on in the game, and it was like, oh, are they going to tighten up now? Or are they going to kind of like get back to taking the points as Craig would have probably advised at the time? No, he's just going to like 100% lean into this is who we are. And I kind of love it for them. But I think at the end of the day, like, I just trust the Lions offense more, and I trust the Lions defense a little bit more. And so ultimately, I think it's just going to be hard for the Commanders, like, go punch for punch.
So this reminds me of the Succession line where it's like the first episode when Logan Roy's like, actually, son, sometimes business is a big dick contest. And I'm like, for all the game planning going in, I think a lot of this game is Ben Johnson is the Lions offensive coordinator. He literally basically turned down the Washington head coaching job because he said they were basketball guys. So now he's playing the team whose head coaching job he turned down. And then Tom Brady's going to announce this game. Tom Brady is basically running the Raiders front office, which think. And so Tom Brady is basically going to be trying to hire Ben Johnson for the Raiders job while Ben Johnson coaches for his current employer against the team that he turned down being the head coach of. Like, it's very weird.
Can I have a question? Isn't Tom Brady like not allowed to go do the pre-game meetings with like in terms of like game planning and stuff? Because usually like the announcers for each game will go in, talk to the team, talk to the coaches. They'll give you kind of like an idea of what they're going to do.
Yeah, they go to practice.
There's an understanding there that we're not going to tell anybody, beforehand. So they have extra information. But now Tom Brady, because he's an owner, he doesn't get to do that stuff. But can he say, oh, yeah, I've been talking to Ben Johnson a lot this week because I'm trying to get him hired for the Raiders?
I actually think now that it's become
super weird.
I think now that it's become clearer how Tom Brady is involved in the Raiders, like, and I don't think we totally knew that, minority owner. Like, no, he's running the front office. They haven't
From what we've
interviewed
heard
anyone
lately,
for GM. He's the GM.
He's pulling the strings.
I think that actually is the answer to why he's the way he is. He can't criticize players because he's literally running a team. But anyway,
maybe he shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't be announcing games. But to that point, Craig, it's weird to pick this game too, because just like, the Ravens will come just a little fumble and like that'll be the game. This just feels like the Lions are going to be up 10 and it's just Washington either successfully backdoor covers or they don't. Right?
I agree. The tough part about this line and the Chiefs line, they're just a couple points too high. That's what sucks. 8.5 is a real screw job by Vegas. It makes it really difficult because they could be up 15 the whole game, then they score a touchdown, and then they end up covering. It's really hard. The Commanders, they don't really blow people out. I mean, they've blown some bad teams out like the Titans, but like they are basically eking out these close games all the time. So, and the Lions do blow people out.
Yeah.
I'm ultimately going to take the Lions in this game. It's like, you know those movies where it's like somebody comes down, like you're about to die, and then they're like, it's not your time. Like the Lions are not, it is not their time. It's not the Lions' time to lose this game.
I feel that way too. No, and that's the way, it's weird because it's like unstoppable force versus immovable object, where it's like every Lions game, they run up the score. And one of the reasons they're so amazing. And every Washington game is close. Like every Washington, like Jaden Daniels makes every game. And I kind of just think about it this simply though. I just kind of look back at the quarterbacks. Like, who are the teams Washington's playing so close against? in reverse chronological order, like most recent to furthest back. Washington has played Cooper Rush, Michael Penix in his second career start, Kenny Pickett, who played 90+% of that game in the Eagles, the Saints with, Rattler and Haener, Will Levis for the Titans, Cooper Rush again, Jalen Hurts, and they lost, Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones, Caleb Williams, Andy Dalton. The most impressive one was keeping a Ravens game close in week 5, week 4, like before the Ravens really were like at full speed. And like, I know they'd beaten the Bills, so maybe that's the most impressive one, but I'm like, I won't feel stupid if Jaden Daniels keeps it close. I'll be impressed if like it's a 7-point win for the Lions and Jaden Daniels keeps them in it.
Yeah.
But man, I also kind of think the Lions are going to be up 7 and then they're going to run the ball down and score another 7 and get the ball back and run it. And then like, they're just going to be up 7.
They're going to run a trick play to their tackle to score a touchdown.
And I'm like, so I'm taking the Lions, like the team that runs up the goddamn score. I want to take the team that runs up the goddamn score.
I agree. I'm even making this my money ball, this Lions game.
Interesting. Yeah. I also picked the Lions. This is a tough one because I do think the Commanders are going to make this a game. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be like, we're in the fourth quarter and it's a blowout, but I just think Jaden Daniels has to be pretty much perfect in this game, I think, to keep up with the Lions. And it's tough to do that as a rookie on the road. I know that what he's done this year has been so incredible. But the Lions, man, they're just, and this is my catchphrase. This is my word that I love to use for teams like the Lions. They're a buzzsaw. They're an absolute buzzsaw. And it's just so hard to beat them. So many things have to go right to beat the Lions. And I think obviously like now we're just talking about the spread really, but I don't know. The Lions, again, I just think that offense is too good. They're going to run the ball. I don't know if Washington's going to be able to stop them from running.
And David Montgomery is playing after tearing his MCL. He's playing in this game.
Which is incredible. So there was a report that he was going to get surgery after the season. He basically was like, hell no. And they just rehabbed it. So David Montgomery's back, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. Obviously we don't know how 100% he'll be, but he's playing. He said he wouldn't play if he wasn't like fully healthy. So he says there's no limitations.
Which I don't understand that because he is objectively not fully healthy.
Well, I think that there's like a player saying they're fully healthy.
He has a torn MCL.
Yeah, it's all vibes. So yeah, that's the thing though. We have to see what he really looks like. But regardless, he's back. That's awesome.
I think the Lions are going to score like 45 points. I think the Eagles put up 33 with Kenny Pickett. I mean, the Commanders have been winning a lot of games, 27-24, stuff like that, against mediocre offenses. They let up 28 to the Steelers. I find it impossible that the Lions would score less than 35 in this game, genuinely. And this to me is like a 38-24 type game is what I'm envisioning.
Yeah, I mean, I almost wanted to take the under on principle of just like everyone's going to want to take the over in this game, but I'm like, dude, 55's not high enough, honestly. No. Like it should be 60. I don't know because I think really what it's about is also the Lions defense is a lot better. I think that the Lions defense, we've talked so much about them being down defenders, and I'm like, well, they're getting more guys back. Like they're getting more guys back.
Yeah,
and so one thing I want to mention though is the guard Kevin Zeitler, former Giant, did not practice Thursday. And he had a hamstring injury at the end of week 17. Right at the end of that Vikings game, Kevin Zeitler hurt his hamstring. If he can't play, the Lions would have actually a rookie guard, Christian Mahogany, which sounds like a porn star. But I guess Christian in the first name, I guess it's not a porn star. But Mahogany just, I don't know, sound very anchor.
Mahogany.
Yeah. Smells of rich mahogany.
But anyway, he would be starting for the Lions in this game if Kevin Zeitler can't play. So we'll see about that. But otherwise... Yeah, I'm taking the Lions and the points. And if Jaden keeps it close, cool. That'll be a really fun game.
If Jaden wins this game, he becomes like a fucking legend.
Yes. He does. Oh, if Jaden wins this 100%. Game, then it's insane.
It's over.
The other thing I have to mention. So this is Washington and Detroit. The Phoenix Suns are in Detroit for a game against the Pistons on the same day on Saturday afternoon. So on that team, you have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Kevin Durant's from DC and a big, big Washington fan. And Devin Booker's from Grand Rapids in Michigan. He's a big Lions fan. They made a bet. Did you guys see the bet they made?
No.
Oh my God.
Middle
seat? They're gonna be at this game. The bet is if Washington loses, Kevin Durant has to personally, publicly thank Draymond Green for both of his NBA titles.
What? Are you serious?
Yes, I'm dead serious. Kevin Durant has to thank Draymond Green for both titles. And if Detroit loses, Devin Booker has to send Luka Doncic a Father's Day card.
Oh,
Jesus. That's way worse.
And they're going to be at the game.
Wow.
I think it's incredible.
That makes our stakes look low.
Damn. I know. It's like, damn.
Oh man.
So yeah,
That's
but
funny.
also Lions are going to win. So Kevin Durant's going to thank Draymond for the freaking
As he should.
titles. Oh, as he should. You should thank Steph. That's the funniest part. Is he thanks Steph. He thanks Draymond Green.
It's because they don't like each other.
I know. Oh my god. Not to mention Draymond. Is he a Lions fan? He's from Michigan, right?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Probably. He went to Michigan State. Okay. Next game here. Texans Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 8.5. Before we even get into this game, I have to ask you this right off the top. So this is an 8.5 point game. The Chiefs literally beat the Texans by 8 3 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago.
Do you think they just looked at that score and were like, okay, let's make it 8.5?
Honestly, yeah. Like the Chiefs have barely beat anyone by 8.5 points the whole year. Like it's just Texans by 8, and they're like, oh, well, they had 3 weeks to prep.
I have that number. The Chiefs have only had 4 wins, outscoring their opponent by more than 8.5 points this year. 4 games, and it's the Saints, the Niners, the Browns, and the Steelers are the only games this year where they won by more than 8.5.
Steelers suck. Browns suck, and James threw 3 picks in that game. Saints are awful, and the Niners off a bye.
And how many
Just
of these
like
games did Patrick Mahomes do like a game-winning drive at the end of the game?
Probably all of them.
Yeah.
Well, I
They've never scored more than 30 points this year.
The part that interests me is the Chiefs won 15 games, and the only one that they beat a team by more than 8.5 points all year against a team that didn't suck.
It's the Niners. Well,
was the Niners off a bye? They had a week to prepare. Andy Reid off a bye. I still believe in that coach. Like, the Chiefs have. This is the thing with me in this game. The Chiefs have had 3 weeks to prep for this game. They have known since Christmas Day that they would probably be. Because they sat everybody. They've known since the day after Christmas. They've been prepping out day after Christmas for this round of the playoffs, and they knew the team they were most likely to play was the Texans, because it was going to be like the Texans were like almost locked into that 4th spot in the AFC. So the Chiefs have been prepping this game against the play. They played the Texans on like December 19th, and they've been prepping for this game since December 26th with Andy Reid. And that to me, like, I guess my question to you guys is, why should we not do a 6-point teaser where, like, this is the most obvious bet I can remember in the playoffs? It's both Saturday games. Lions tease it down to Lions giving 2.5. Tease the Chiefs down to giving 2.5. It feels like they are handing you this 2-point teaser. And like, which leg of that is the one that will fail?
Toss in an Ohio State money line, and you got yourself a stew going.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. I was really genuinely looking for somewhere to zag. Like, I debated for a long time taking the Texans in this game with the idea that maybe they could keep this close, because the Chiefs, every game has been close against far inferior teams. Yeah. I mean, so the game where they won by 8 3 weeks ago, that was when Mahomes had that injury, that ankle injury. This was his first game back. People didn't even know if he was going to play. He played. That was Marquise Brown's first game back. That was where Tank Dell broke his leg after catching that big touchdown. Mm-hmm. And the Texans got that ball down 8 with 5 minutes left. Like, they had a shot. They ended up going 3 and out, and then the Chiefs ran out the clock. The thing that is keeping the Texans just on my mind a little bit is how good they've been playing defensively. Steven Ruiz wrote a great piece for theringer.com about how good DeMeco Ryans has how good of a job he's done for Houston, and how they basically play the Niners defense, which has given Mahomes fits. And it's basically rushing 4, dropping back in zone, and making you earn it and going 10 for 10 down the field. No big plays, while having a limited rushing attack that can still pressure Mahomes. And basically the Texans are doing a really good job of that. And since that kind of Christmas area where they were really bad, they've been really, really good, like the last 3 weeks. So part of me was like, man, is there any chance this game's 20-17 in the 4th quarter? Like, I kind of think there might be. And 8.5 is a little thick.
And that I really, it is thick. No, I also, again, there was an element of it where it's like, I'm sure there were people screaming. And again, for people who haven't listened to us for a long time, we always joke how the closest you'll ever feel to a ghost in your life is listen to a podcast where you're screaming the answer at someone and they don't.
It probably happens to us an extra lot.
Yeah. And you're a ghost. And so I'm sure there are a lot of ghosts screaming at us right now. All we've talked about with Kansas City for 4 months is that every game comes down to the last play. And now there is literally 8.5 for, math is more than you can score on one play. Mm-hmm. And so it seems so easy to take Houston. Like, this seems really easy. But all I think is,
if Houston wasn't fucking terrible all year, if Houston's offense wasn't fucking awful for 17 straight games, maybe I would do it.
And that's the thing is, I don't think I don't feel great about the Texans scoring 17 points in this game. And it's torn. I'm torn because I don't want to overcorrect from Wild Card Weekend. Obviously, I didn't really give the Texans a fair shot versus the Chargers. They won that game, but I don't think we were wrong when we like deeply criticized the Texans offense. Again, they had 3 turnovers and 2 touchdowns, and the first half they had 3rd and long to a punt, like for the first 6 drives, and the other 2 were fumbles.
They intercepted Herbert 4 times.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. We underrated how good the defense is.
Come on.
That's the thing. It's like, to what Craig said, like the defense is playing great. The reason I just keep coming back to, Andy Reid has had 3 fucking weeks to prepare for this goddamn defense. And if you think that's dramatic, they didn't play their goddamn. You think Andy Reid prepped for that Week 18 game against the Broncos? Like, they were just prepping for the Texans and then the Chargers or whoever they thought they might play. But the Texans, the whole time they've known would be one of the 2 teams they would be able to play probably. So I also,
like, I feel like Mahomes over the last 2 years has become like the perfect example of the guy who just will take what the defense gives him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like screen passes, little swing passes, end arounds with Xavier Worthy. His ADOT has dropped precipitously. His, I think, number of 20-yard pass plays has like dropped precipitously over the last couple of years. It's just like they are a dink and dunk offense now. And by the way, they're the best team on 3rd down, or one of the best teams on 3rd down. I think coming into like Week 18, they were the best team on 3rd downs. And I think they finished 3rd or something like that. But they're one of the best teams on 3rd down. I trust him over almost anybody to convert in those crucial situations. At the end of the day, though, I don't know. I'm taking the Texans because I just think it is going to be a close game. I think it's good. Well, I'm taking obviously the points. I think the Chiefs will win.
Yeah. I love this out of you. I love it.
I love that. Yeah.
But
I
feels
fear
like
you're
this
right,
is the
DK.
this
I
is
fear
the
you're
kind
right.
of game. This is the kind of game that they've like wanted to play all year, and maybe not wanted to play, but that's the type of game they've played all year. Where they're like comfortable with a 3-point lead. You know what I mean? They're comfortable with down 3.
I get that.
They just want the ball last or whatever.
The other thing you didn't even mention, DK, is the idea that, well, they haven't played, the starters haven't played in 20 days, which I keep saying as a positive from the coaching. It's not hard to believe the Texans could start 10-0 and the Chiefs look rusty to start. And then you're like, oh shit. Like, because think about it. If all the Texans need is a 10-0 spot, the Chiefs look tough in the first quarter, and you're like, you're getting 18.5 points from that spot. You know what I mean? If the Texans start, like, that's, I think, the flip side and the danger. Having said that,
I agonized over this though.
Once again, I really wanted to take Houston plus 8.5, but at the end of the day, I have to go back to my own internal playoff manifesto. I simply cannot be rooting for CJ Stroud against Patrick Mahomes.
Well, Craig, that's like the opposite for me. Is like I don't want to have faith in Stroud, but he actually has in his career like stepped up in big games like this. Remember the Georgia game in the college football playoff a couple years ago. He was like, that was one of his best games ever. They ended up losing, but you know, I just think like he's got that something. He's got that dog in him where maybe he will step up a little bit in this game.
I have no doubt about Stroud. I think actually there's a reason. My issue is Bobby Slowick, the coordinator, versus Steve Spagnuolo, who I think is the best week-to-week defensive game planner in the NFL now that Belichick's out. And my issue is Stroud. Look, I think there's a reason the Texans offense scored in the 2-minute drill. They got the field goal drive under a minute in 2-minute drill. Like they got even that 99-yard drive. That was a 4-minute drill from CJ Stroud, really. And like that, it's not a coincidence to me that like that with the tempo when Stroud took over, that's when they were moving the ball on the coaching. Like I'm going to take the Chiefs giving 8.5 points. I'm going to moneyball it. And I know that that is maybe a little nuts for a team that won how many? 7? The Chiefs won 6 or 7 games this year on the last play of the game. So like, it's a little crazy.
Yeah, but playoff Chiefs are a different beast.
The playoff Chiefs are different. Mahomes is 15 and fucking 2. Mahomes is 15 and 3 in the playoffs. Think about that.
Healthiest the offense has ever been this year.
And
it's like Chris Jones and Kelsey start wanting to play hard, or they start trying. Yeah, now.
No, but it's not a switch, but it is an ascent. And I think at the end of the day, for all the complications you get, all the X's and O's and all the game planning and everything, Mahomes is like the closest I've seen to football Michael Jordan.
Right.
Like I'm not saying he's there yet. Obviously, it's like, you know, he's got like 5 more, or well, actually only 3 more titles to go. But like, I will moneyball football Michael Jordan.
That's fair. You guys are making me nervous about my pick.
I like that we have 3 different money balls. That's always fun.
That's
okay. Sick. One game left.
That's what this is going to decide it, because it, like, if I win that, I get up 4 points, and then DK though. If like DK wins that Ravens game, like there could be 2 4-point swings.
It could be big. It could be really big.
Yeah. I honestly, we might have screwed ourselves.
I'm mentally preparing myself already for the middle seat here.
Well,
They don't
honestly,
feel-
we'll actually probably have done this now in a way where I actually think we'll know middle seat by the end of this week. I don't think actually it'll come down to conference championship unless someone goes 0-2.
Oh man,
We'll see.
Last game here.
Yeah. This is a tough one, man. This was the hardest one for me to bet on.
This one's, I can't. Rams are at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are favored by 6.5 points.
Wait, can I give my spiel first? Because I think I'm leaning where you're leaning.
Please.
These teams played earlier this year. The Eagles beat the Rams 37-20 in LA.
Yeah. 37-10. Or sorry, 37-20. Oh, I was hitting the 1 and 2 keyboard wrong. Right there.
you got to fix
fat
that.
fingering 1s and 2s.
In that game, Saquon ran for a franchise record 255 yards.
yeah, that was wild.
And the Rams ran for 92 yards. In total, the Eagles ran for 314.
Jesus.
The Eagles have lost one game since September 29th. And over that stretch, they have beaten the Ravens, Steelers, Commanders, Rams, Bengals, Packers. The Rams, on the other hand, are very hard to figure out. Like, you kind of can't look at the analytics, and you just kind of have to do the thing we did last week.
How do you measure heart?
Exactly. Experience, vibes, savvy, grit, effort. But the Rams kind of haven't really beaten anybody since week 10. The Rams have beaten the Patriots, the Saints, the Niners, the Jets, the Cardinals. They've lost to the Eagles, and they lost to the Dolphins in a really weird game.
They won last week, by the way.
Yes. The one I'm leaving out, the big one I'm leaving out, though, is they beat the Bills. They beat the Bills 44-42 in LA, which is why I can't figure them out. It's like, if you removed that Bills game, I'd be like, this is a fraudulent team. And then you watch them kick the shit out of Minnesota, and they beat the Bills and put up 44 points against the Bills. And I think there's a lot of goodwill, obviously, with LA, with the Fires, with them having this awesome win. And I fear that oftentimes this is like in March Madness when the 13 seed beats the 4 seed and everybody's flying high, and then they get boat raced the next week. And this game is going to be cold. This is in Philadelphia, outdoors. It's going to be mid to low 30s. There's supposed to be snow showers. Everything is pointing me towards the Eagles, who have just beaten every good team in the league that they've played this year, except the vibes in Philly are still kind of fucking weird. I don't know if this team's happy. I don't know if this team likes their quarterback.
They're never happy.
No. But I still might have the best roster in the league. And so I think I'm going to take the Eagles minus 6.5, but it is very difficult for me to take the team that is just kind of winning despite the lack of cohesiveness as a unit versus the team who is like a fairy tale, storybook situation right now with like the coolest coach in the league and all that stuff. So I think I am taking the Eagles, which is maybe stupid. Maybe I should go with my heart, but I'm going with my brain.
No, to give some context to that, what you're talking about the Eagles, Shil Kapati here at The Ringer had an amazing stat, which was the Eagles had the least efficient passing performance in a playoff win in 10 years.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
Because of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts played really poorly.
He throws for like 170 yards every game.
And he's coming off a concussion, but to be honest, we're at like 4 or 5 years now where, again, I think it's Jalen Hurts is the new Russell Wilson, where it's the offense is the offense because of Jalen Hurts' preferences and certain limitations and certain strengths. And like he's not going to throw over the middle field. He's not really that good throwing on the run. He's better running than he's throwing on the run. And so, but DK, your friend Jackson Bevins, I wanted his show, shout out Cigar Thoughts, where I lit up a Marlboro Red because I didn't have a cigar. But
that was an all-time move.
Dude, hell yeah.
You won some points with that move.
He asked me with the Giants. I don't know.
Can we put the picture? Can we put the picture up?
Can we put that up? We can put that up
on Spotify.
Yeah,
no, well, Jackson literally lights up a cigar at the beginning of Cigar Thoughts, and I'm like, well, I have a cigar, but I found this from some party somewhere.
Like how you're using a match to light your cigarette. That's
badass. Imagine 100 years ago being like, in 2025, it's going to be really cool and badass to light up a cigarette. They're going to be like, what? What are these snowflakes we got in 2025?
Exactly. But I feel like Charlie Kelly with the It's Always Sunny. But DK, Jackson, so I was like, oh, I'm not very inspired by the Eagles winning despite the least efficient passing game. And Jackson was like, isn't that actually kind of a good thing where they can win even when Jalen Hurts plays as bad as humanly possible? Like,
yeah, in a sport where everything relies on how good your quarterback is, you can dominate a team when your quarterback sucks.
So like,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
it's a Rorschach test. When I tell you the Eagles beat the Packers, even though Jalen Hurts, I don't want to say played like ass, but he did not elevate the team. Do you hear that and think, wow, the Eagles are really good and will crush the Rams as long as Jalen Hurts even plays okay? Or do you hear that and you're concerned?
I think I get concerned but I'm conditioned. It's exactly what I just said. I'm conditioned to think the quarterback is the most important thing. And I think it is absolutely true. But Craig, the whole time you were talking, I was just thinking to myself, even with all the dysfunction, even with all the disagreements, everybody's mad at each other. Sirianni, who God knows what he does on a daily basis.
Players
the
love
team,
him. Big
the team is just built perfectly.
They've lost
to win.
one game since September 29th.
They're built the exact right way to just choke the life out of your opponent because they can run the ball. They're explosive on the ground. They can steal an extra down because they have the tush push. They have all these advantages. They also have a good pass rush. They have good corners this year that can lock down guys down the field. They're just deep. I don't know. They have elite receivers. Even if their quarterback isn't that good, like these elite receivers could make incredible plays at any given time. And, last week it was Dallas Goedert stiff-arming the guy like 17 yards down the field. And so I don't know. I just trust the Eagles, even though they're dysfunctional. I trust them because they're just built this way. They're built to win in the playoffs. They're built to win in the postseason. They're winning despite themselves. You know what I mean? And
I agree, yeah.
I just think they will be able to run in this game. I think their offensive line is going to neutralize what is probably one of the biggest strengths right now for the Rams, which is their pass rush. It's the cold winter game in Philly.
Man, are we all taking the Eagles minus 6.5? Heifetz?
That's what I wrote down.
I am. I think that if you put Josh, Lamar, or Mahomes on the Eagles roster, they would literally go undefeated. And Jalen Hurts is a limited passer, but like I hate to say it, but he does have that cliche winner thing. Like I don't know, he just won it now every level of.
They pretty much again the only game they've lost in September 29th is the game that Hurts got concussed in. Like it's
exactly. And here's the thing, and the reason I'm a big believer in the Eagles right now, despite the quarterback stuff being concerning, and is. I think the wild card to divisional round actually reminds me a lot of week 1 in the NFL versus week 2, where you see stuff week 1 and then like you overcorrect to oh, that's not at all like the Saints in the week 2 to week 3 where you're like, oh, it's like this. And you're like, no, it's not like that. Like there's a big wild card round. You see stuff and you're like, oh, keep it close. And I think the Rams, you nailed it, Craig, where you see the Rams and like, oh, they beat the Vikings and like, oh, they could beat the Eagles. McVay, he's great. And he is. But the Vikings are so different than the Eagles. Like the teams the Rams have beat are so different. And the Bills even are so different than the Eagles. The problem the Eagles present is they're so much better on the offensive line. Like the Rams had an advantage on the defensive line for the Rams was better than the Vikings offensive line.
The Vikings offensive line is really struggling lately.
The Eagles offensive line was dominant versus the Rams. Outside of when Jared Verse picked up and bench pressed Jordan Mailata, the Eagles offensive line dominated the Rams defensive line in that game. I do not anticipate that being significantly different. The flip side is it's also very different than the Vikings game, where the Vikings, they have all this pressure and all these complicated looks and stuff, but like it's edge pressure. It's Jonathan Grenard, it's Van Ginkel, it's like stuff on the Eagles, the pressure is right up the middle. It's Jalen Carter. Frankly, it's like a little taste of Aaron Donald that the Rams aren't going to like so much. I'm not saying Jalen Carter's that good, but I really actually wonder, I think the Rams, if they were smart, I wonder if they had thought about bringing Aaron Donald to practice to have him like be the scout team, Jalen Carter, because like, what's he got going on? Because I'm really like, I kind of worry about Matt Stafford getting the shit kicked out of him because I looked this up. Matt Stafford got hit 11 times in that Eagles-Rams game. The only time he's been hit like that in the last 2 years was Lions-Rams in week 1. Like Matt Stafford had not been hit 11 times in the game in years. And so the Rams had Warren McClendon, a tackle in that game, and now it's Rob Havenstein again. So maybe it's that, but I really don't know. Like if Jalen Carter's disrupting the middle, there's nothing McVay can scheme around it. Cause it's like the Eagles have too much talent elsewhere. It's not like, oh, well, you double team Jalen Carter and you boot Stafford. It's like Quinion Mitchell can guard Cooper Kupp for a play. It's like Darius Slay can break up a pass to Puka Nacua. Like Cooper DeJean can tackle Puka Nacua in the open field. Like there's rookies in the Eagles back end and like there's rules to exploit, but like there is so much talent there that it's hard to ignore to me. Like this literal center of the field on both sides of the ball is such a trench advantage to Philly. I think they kind of bully him.
The reason we feel dumb on Monday or Sunday night or whatever. When is this playing? Sunday.
Stafford rules and Hurts sucks. And McVay's
the reason we feel dumb is McVay versus Sirianni.
McVay versus Sirianni and Stafford
quarterback.
McVay and Stafford versus Hurts and Sirianni. You're going to feel dumb.
And I'm already now I'm like,
it's why I took the Rams over the Vikings for that exact reason.
Agree.
And now I'm not doing it because I think that the talent is so overwhelming for Philly.
Yeah. But the flip side is just like narratives change. Do you remember what Matt Stafford's narrative was as of like 2018? Can't win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Then when you do, it's different. Jalen Hurts literally, his legacy was decided on a play he was not on the field for. Like if James Bradbury doesn't get called for holding, Jalen Hurts beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. All we're talking about if the last 2 years is how the Eagles changed the face of football with like a quarterback being part of the running game. Literally just that flag changed that we don't give Jalen Hurts and the Eagles credit for changing football and the way Jaden Daniels would be considered part of the Eagles and like all the running game, the whole football would be credited to the Eagles. So I don't know. Sirianni McVay is harder for me to talk myself out of. I still think Sirianni is just like a giant jabroni that happens to have John Madden's winning percentage somehow. But
Craig, you said this was the hardest one for you to pick, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me too. I think this one's, yeah.
The person to remember though is that the guy behind the Wizard of Oz here, like the guy behind Sirianni is Jeff Stoutland for the Eagles, like the guy running their offensive line, the run game. Jeff Stoutland is literally as smart as any coach in the entire NFL. Like Bill Belichick could sit down and talk to Jeff Stoutland for hours, like learn stuff. Like Jeff Stoutland's the greatest offensive line coach. I'm stealing. Nate Tice said this like a couple months ago to SDK, and like I'm stealing it. The Eagles' entire organization almost is like, you know, like all those memes of how everything in the world depends on Microsoft Excel. Right. And like if Excel, people worry about nuclear bombs or whatever, and it's like actually Microsoft Excel crashing would like end the world. The entire Eagles organization just like depends on Jeff Stoutland. Like his ability to develop late round, like Jordan Mailata, who had never played football, into a top 5 tackle. He made the All-Pro team this year.
Dude,
it's like, he was a fucking 7th round pick or undrafted. He never played football. It's all on Jeff Stoutland. So it's not Sirianni versus McVay. Honestly, it's fucking Jeff Stoutland is there. And like, that's the thing with what's going on the coaching side.
So
I'm excited for the Rams to win.
So we all picked the Eagles. Yeah. So that's,
but no
concerning.
Moneyball. No one's taking the Moneyball Eagles.
No. Because I think it's hard to Moneyball against Sean McVay.
Yeah, I agree. I can't do that on principle.
He's your brother.
I know. I already feel icky doing it. Okay.
Okay. So just to recap this here, we all have the Eagles giving 6.5 to the Rams. Watch us all get this wrong. Texans, Chiefs. Craig and I didn't write this one down.
I have them written down. I have them all written down.
Oh, okay. Go through it then.
Texans, Chiefs. Heifetz and I are taking the Chiefs minus 8.5. DK.
And that's my money ball.
And that's your money ball. Washington, Detroit. All of us are taking Detroit minus 8.5, and that's my money ball. We're all taking Philadelphia minus 6.5, no money ball. And then in the Ravens-Bills game, Heifetz and I are taking the Bills plus the points, and DK is money balling Baltimore minus 1.5.
So questions. Should we get back to the core of this Costanza, which was the mistake we made all year, was that it was about the spread. Should we just, out of principle, Costanza, the 2 games we all agree on with the spread and go the other way and just take Washington? Yeah. We're all taking line. We should Costanza, Washington getting 8.5 with the Rams getting 6.5.
We probably should do that. I'm really worried about Jaden Daniels just like elevating to yet another level.
He's going to hit a freaking Hail Mary at the end of the game to cover.
They don't even have any good, like, I feel like they're down a guy. They don't even, I mean, they have Terry McLaurin, kind of no other wide receivers. Fucking Zach Ertz is like 35 years old. He's their tight end.
De'Ami Brown.
The problem with Washington getting 8.5 points and betting against that is that if it's 38-20, or like, let's just say it's 38-24, and the Lions have it in hand, and Washington has the ball with like 90 seconds left, and they go down and get a touchdown and do the you know what I mean? It's so easy to envision. Like you feel like the Lions need to be up 17 to win that.
Which is that's why they make this so difficult, because that's 3 scores.
So again, coming back to, we should have 2 bets this weekend. We could spread it out more, but I think we should probably money line everything that we all agreed was wrong. So we should probably take Rams getting 6.5, take the Washington getting 8.5, and we should parlay those together too. And then we also
tease down the Chiefs and
tease down
the
Chiefs Lions. Like I know
and I'm telling you,
like,
sprinkle a little Ohio State money line on that.
I know that's the squarest bet of all time. My dad, who with love to my father, who's probably listening right now, is the squarest better in the history of, like when Vegas pictures the average person. Like my dad is the most like his winning percentage is incalculably bad. He's going to call me and ask, why can't we take Chiefs giving 2.5, Lions giving 2.5? I don't know what to say. Like it's Mahomes and I don't know. So I kind of think we should just do that.
I agree.
And then what you want just Ohio State? What is the Ohio State money line?
No, I'm saying add the money line to this parlay, this tease.
Well, it's the teaser. I don't want to parlay 8.5. I want to tease the 6 points down 2.5. I don't think we want me to add.
Can you not add the Ohio State money line to that?
Let me add it to it. Let me do it right now. DK, do you disagree? Are you against Ohio? I don't mind, because can I be honest? Can I say something a little divisive? I'd rather Notre Dame fans win than Ohio State fans. And I know I'm probably pissed off a lot of Ohio State fans.
Okay.
But I don't know. The Notre Dame fans, I don't know. It just feels like it's been longer for them. And there's a certain more purity to it. Ohio State, I don't know. There's almost like they feel like they're the bosses leading this whole college football realignment. And I'm I don't know. It feels like with Saban gone, it feels like I'm rooting for a mob boss for Ohio State to win.
Is anyone outside of Ohio going to care about that take?
No, but you know how many people care about football in Ohio? Everybody. We're going to lose listeners because I said that shit.
Yeah.
Should we bleep it? Should I have Carlos bleep?
No.
So if we add just Ohio State money line to this,
I don't think can you do that? Can you add a money line to a tease, a parlay? You can't do that. I don't think.
No.
Rats. I mean. Also, you could just go Chiefs, Lions, Ohio State, triple money line. Probably be just fine.
You know, it's so funny. The Ohio State's also up 8.5.
Yeah.
So it's like we would just put all
3
to 2.5. Oh,
I like that. How does that lose? That can't lose.
Someone's going to just fade us on all three things and just like moneyline parlay everything against us and make like a lot of money betting against us.
They should do that, definitely.
They should. Okay. I like that. The last thing before we get out of here, the Abe Lincoln thing. So for those not listening, those who don't know, I thought that meme of the Norman Rockwell painting of the guy standing up in the meeting and being like, standing up or whatever, which we can put on Spotify right now, the image, if you know what I'm talking about, but it's the meme of the guy standing up.
It's like you're declaring something. You have a take.
Like
That's
it's a hot
meme.
take.
Obviously, the artwork is somewhat famous.
I thought it was Abe Lincoln, and everyone made fun of me, and you guys roasted me. We put it out on IG and everything. There's been an outpouring of people, much like when I pronounced maestro and all the things I pronounced wrong. People no one publicly wants to defend me. I will just say we're above dozens now. We're multiple dozens. Literally multiple dozens have contacted me privately to say, I also thought that was Abe Lincoln.
It's not that you thought it was Abe Lincoln. It's that you so passionately
you were like telling us
it was Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, you were basically like, you fucking idiots. Of course it's Abe Lincoln.
It's like, sure, the guy kind of looks like Abe Lincoln. I'm not going to say he doesn't, but it was that you so fervently guaranteed that it was Abe Lincoln.
It was the reverse.
Yeah, it's him.
It was the reverse space of the Mbop thing. The Mbop thing, I was like, I'd never heard of it. And so I was like, how is that possible? Do you know what I call that meme in my head? The Abe Lincoln meme. Mm-hmm. So it never, I don't know. I've just referred to it in the Abe Lincoln meme in my head for so many times that I just thought that it was like a fact because I just called it that
and
in
I
my
think
head.
and you can even listen to what we were talking about. Both Craig and I were, I think, said, it kind of looks like Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, I'm not going to say
it's like,
of course.
It's the confidence.
Sometimes
it's the confidence in your takes. I think that cracks us up.
Sometimes I'm too confident, kind of like when I take the Chiefs to cover 8.5 points when they have beat like one team by that much in like 2 years or whatever. Even the Chiefs playoff wins, it's not like honestly, ironically, the last team the Chiefs fucking rocked in the playoffs was the Texans, but that was like 4 years ago with Watson.
No, they kind of beat up Miami bad last year.
Oh yeah, they don't count. That game was that was a team from the southernmost point of the United States of America, and
I was just pointing out a game they won by a lot.
No, I know. No, I was talking to people. I shout out to Chuck McDonald at Yahoo, who I was next to in the booth at the Steelers-Ravens game, and he reminded me how fucking cold that game was.
Yeah.
Which I know we talked about it a lot.
It was like one of the coldest games ever.
Helmet chipped. Charles was telling me what -30 felt like, because it was like -15 with a wind chill of -34. And he was saying that if you took your gloves off, it felt like your hand was in lava. Like he said, it actually like pins and needles, like your hand just, it was like literally like frostbite risk immediately if you took your gloves off.
This is like what,
we thought
this
Tyreek
is what
Hill would play well.
This is like what us sweet summer boys from the coasts don't understand. Is that like that negative, that feeling of negative even 10, I feel like it hurts like to be outside.
Tua is from Hawaii and played football in Alabama and Miami. And it was like, I wish I'd put every dollar I had against him in -34 wind chill.
Winter is coming. It just makes me think of Game of Thrones.
Carlos sent us a FanDuel clip. You actually can't a slip. You can tease the Chiefs and Lions down and add on the Ohio State money line. And it's basically even odds. It's -103.
There we go.
Is that worth the minus? Because it's -1. It's like if you put $1 down, you get 70 cents without Ohio State. Is adding Ohio State money line worth just getting up to $1 for $1, like 1-to-1? I almost would rather keep.
So it's $10 to win 7 or $10 to win 10 if you add Ohio State.
I feel like I don't know if that I don't. I guess in theory, if we won both legs, we could just hedge The real problem is it's Saturday to Monday, so you have to wait the 2 days. Where I'm like, I almost kind of want to like take my wins on Saturday or my L's on Saturday.
I'm gonna do this bet. I'm letting everybody know that.
Okay. I'm gonna keep them out of it because I don't know. I would just.
I feel confident Ohio State's gonna win.
They're a better team. They're a better team. Okay.
Famous last words.
Okay. How was the cigarette? Did you smoke the whole thing?
No, I only took a few puffs for the Giants rant. And then honestly, dude, I haven't smoked a cigarette in like half a decade. Don't smoke cigarettes.
I was going to ask, how many cigarettes have you smoked in your life?
I smoke 1 cigarette a year when I go to Fort Myers, Florida. There's a karaoke bar in Fort Myers, Florida, where you can buy cigarettes at the bar. And it's
Is Marlboro? How do you say that
hard.
word?
Marlboro.
Marlboro.
Very hard.
Is that your brand? Marlboro.
It's just the cheapest pack of cigarettes at that one bar in Florida. And
aren't cigarettes though? Like I've taken 1 puff of a cigarette in college, so I'm not a cigarette expert at all. But don't the way cigarettes work, where it's like, isn't 1 a year? It's like skiing. If you ski once a year, it's actually worse than skiing like 10 times a year because you need to kind of get used to it. Isn't 1 cigarette a year just going to make you sick once a year?
Well,
probably.
I mean, in theory,
like, don't you just feel like shit every time you smoke that, or no? Does your body kind of enjoy it? Even though,
no, I think.
Well,
I mean,
I'm doing it like 2 pitchers of Miller Lite Deep. It's not exactly like
you just wake up with like a sore throat.
Also, I think the thing with cigarettes is it's like it's not about 1 versus 10. It's about 1 versus 10 a day. It's like don't smoke cigarettes. That's the thing. No one should smoke cigarettes.
But like, do you? I guess my question is I know you kind of do it because it's a tradition, but do you feel really good after smoking it while you're drunk, or not really?
No, you feel horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, you feel terrible.
That's what I was checking on.
Well, hard to separate out. I don't know.
It gives you a little jump. That's about it.
I will say I was jittery on the show. Though,
a little jolt.
I couldn't sit still after. I was like, oh my God.
DK, have you ever smoked cigs?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But not like regularly.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who smoke when they drink, right?
Yeah.
Is that you, Daniel? With your
It
whiskey?
used to be. I'm not anymore. I haven't smoked a cigarette in years, but yeah. But that being said, don't smoke, kids.
Well, kids just vape now.
Yeah, that's worse.
Whoever loses the middle seat should just light up in the middle seat on the way home.
Just smoke on the plane.
Just break federal laws.
I love watching like Mad Men. You see Don Draper on a flight,
just ripping
darts.
That's like
he's in a full suit.
Yeah. What's the David Fincher, the Mind Hunter?
Yeah,
everyone's just on planes, just chain smoking.
Just like 2 fingers of whiskey, a Marlboro, and a suit. It's the best.
But don't worry, there's a non-smoking section.
I was in the non-smoking
totally
section. It's the funniest thing ever. Like they're like as if it's not like wafting over.
Do you guys remember the days when airplanes had ashtrays in the seat, like in the things that would come down in between the seats, the armrests?
You know, maybe. When did
they had to take ashtrays out of B-52 bombers like 10 years ago. The B-52s from World War II are all still in, like not all of them, but a lot of them are still in rotation, and they had to take the ashtrays out.
That's hilarious.
They had to. Why?
Well, they just like we're just doing it, and they're like, I think we could put something more useful here.
Yeah, we might as well use this space for something important.
An MP3 player.
Yeah. Well, another cup holder. Well,
yeah, like all the cars from when I was growing up too had ashtrays that they were on the door, I want to say, and you could open them up. They like,
I remember those.
Yeah.
Oh,
just different times.
Yeah.
None of them had seat belts back in the day.
My grandpa had an old truck that didn't have seat belts.
Yeah, I grew up on just the belt.
Dude, that's crazy. They didn't have the shoulder
belt
one.
or whatever it's called.
That's actually one of the best inventions ever. It's just like seatbelts. It's like it's hard to describe how much seatbelts work without getting too graphic. It's insane how well seatbelts.
There was a clip on Instagram that was when they were making seatbelts a law. All these people bitching about seatbelts, like they're forcing us to put seatbelts on.
Dude, seatbelts are. My brother's a firefighter.
We just complain about anything anyone makes.
Dude, no one wants to get told to do anything.
Don't fucking tell me what to do.
My brother's a firefighter, and despite the name, honestly, half what firefighters do is pull people out of cars, and like the things that like can harm you at like such low speeds if you're not wearing one versus the craziest fucking crashes you've ever seen. If you're wearing a seatbelt, like you can survive. It's actually crazy.
Yeah,
but
every EMT, firefighter, doctor, anyone that you ever talk to is like grabs you by the face and like shakes you and it's like, just wear your seatbelt.
It's one of
your seatbelt.
Not wearing a seatbelt is one of the weirdest, rebellious things you could do. There's always a kid in high school who's like, I don't wear a fucking seatbelt.
I know, and I'm like,
but there's
never
people that it's
understood
like
that guy.
there's people that it's like grandfathered in. I've never worn a seatbelt. I'm never gonna start. But then people now not wearing seatbelts makes no sense.
I don't know. It's a bizarre choice. I don't understand how that makes you cool.
You're free to move about the cabin.
I guess. Like, I just don't, it's like, I eat raw chicken. It's like, who says that? Why would you do that? There's nothing cool about that.
Says the raw milk guy.
Well, that was one time.
Yeah, okay.
I was finding myself.
You found yourself in the hospital.
I don't know if I said this on the pod, but that raw milk brand that I tried over a year ago was recently found to have bird flu.
Craig's fucking patient zero.
Let me say, though, that is a high-end brand from a well-regarded farm in California.
With a well-regarded farm in California. I have had people who are like farmers talk to me about this since we had this conversation, who like actually like aren't dairy farms, and they were like, people don't understand with the raw milk thing that like the cow shits sometimes while you're doing the fucking milking the cow. And they're like, like, it's not just like, oh, the gut bacteria. It's like some of the cow shit, like that's one of the reasons you got to do it. Anyway.
Good bacteria.
Yeah, but think about your gut biome. All that
your
shit
gut
in there.
is full of micro tears, Heifetz, that's affecting your brain.
Fucking yeah, that's what the Marlboro Reds are for.
I just love Heifetz smoking a cigarette.
You
on
could
a
tell
podcast.
in the video that he like never smoked cigarettes. The way the cigarette was sitting in his fingers, we always do
anyone
that
who
on
actually smokes a cigarette, I'm sure, looks at me and is like, "That guy's a fucking poser."
I think it's one of the coolest like immediate identifiers. If you know how you like when somebody shoots a basketball, all I need one shot. I know how long you've been playing. I know if you played in high school. It's the
that's
same
a
thing.
great point.
It's like
Craig.
boarding
Same
a
thing with a
plane.
cigarette.
I know everything about you now.
Yes. We do that on the rewatchables all the time, where it's like, who are the best actors at smoking cigarettes? And like De Niro's great. Sean Penn always
Because they all
says,
smoke in real life.
Yeah,
Sean Penn is like, I'll bring my own and just actually smoke on set. Like, no worries.
We don't need a prop.
And then there's like Tom Cruise, who kind of has no idea what he's doing. Yeah.
He's got like one of those like holder things that you can. It's like a roach clip or whatever they're called.
Oh yeah.
What are those things that the women in the 20s used to have? Those like long extenders.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to picture. I can't
Like
remember
the
what
pen.
they're called.
I forget the name of that. Yeah, cigarette holder, I guess.
It was like a koozie for cigarettes.
Koozie for cigarettes.
Koozie.
You should bring those back for vapes. We should sell those for vapes. Something to hold your vape and look classy.
There's something so nostalgic about drinking a beer with a koozie on it. What is it? What's it about that? That like it makes you think of summer.
I like koozies. Here's the problem with koozies.
I never did the koozie thing. I never got into koozies. No.
not a
that was
koozie
my
guy.
era, maybe. I don't know.
I think I have an issue. There are certain products like koozies, and you
I don't
know
need
what
a
else,
foam pad to drink my beer.
I do.
Well, it's to keep it cold. But like,
Drink
I
it
feel like
fast. How long you taking?
how many koozies do you need though? You know
It's
what
like,
I mean?
it's like mugs.
Yeah, it's like mugs. You
We
just
have
accumulate.
like so many koozies.
It's like in
our
reality,
house.
you need 4 mugs.
We have a huge bag of koozies.
Dude, I know. Craig, it reminds me of in golf, like ball markers. Like I'm online and I'm on Instagram and I'm scrolling and I'm like, oh, Wu-Tang ball marker. That's
Yeah,
sick.
sure.
And I'm like, I have 3. Why do I how many of these can I possibly buy? There's so much innovation going on and cool shit like that. I'm like, I don't need it. Like I'm out of mugs. I'm out of koozies. Like it's just tough. Like I already have too many of these things.
I'm at that age now where I'm like, how often am I drinking a beer out of a can? I can't like I hardly ever do that anymore.
That's the better take too. It's like
that's kind of sad. The only time I drink beers now is shotgunning it for my league. And I'm like, I'm not drinking a can of beer.
What about
often.
into a glass?
Like, I'll have like a glass of beer at like a
Okay.
restaurant, or nowadays most places have like a glass of beer that you get.
Frozen mug?
If you go to a dive bar, you still get a can. So I guess that's when I do it.
Well,
But
do you have any beers at your house? Are they cans, bottles? What are they?
yeah, they're cans.
They're cans. But you would pour it into a glass.
I would pour it into a glass or shotgun it. No middle ground.
Business in the front, party in the back.
Yeah. The mullet style of drinking.
It's good to pour your beer. It releases some of the carbonation.
There you go.
Except for like, and then you get the really nice beers. Like shout out, like Alchemist in Vermont, where they actually have in giant bold letters at the top, "Do not pour this beer into a glass," because they want to keep like the hops and stuff in.
Oh, interesting. So I like Guinness. It's easier on the belly.
Yeah. Guinness is the best.
I fuck heavy with Guinness. Big Guinness guy.
Fuck heavy.
If anybody wants to split the G with me in New Orleans,
The G.
Split the G. Dude,
I'll do
there's a meme I saw today of like Guinness mac and cheese, and someone's like, I'm gonna split this fucking cheese so hard.
For real though, we should split some G's in New Orleans.
Yeah, we could do
I've
that.
never heard that expression.
What?
You never heard split the G?
No.
The Guinness?
What is that? I've never heard of that.
It's the the Guinness glass. It has the Guinness logo on it. When your first drink, you take one big swig, and when you put the glass down, you want the line to be splitting the top part of the G.
God, I've never heard that expression. That's funny.
Wow.
I mean, I probably haven't. I'm just not remembering it, but that's good. I like that.
There's a whole corner of Reddit where people just grade people splitting the G. And then some people like
I know, I'm
zoom in,
finding that
enhance, and are like, did you really?
Split the G.
That'll be when we finally change the name of this podcast. That's what it's going to be.
That's
Split the
actually
G.
good. Write that down, Craig.
Sponsored by Guinness. That'd be sick. If Guinness sponsored this podcast, I will change the name of the show to
Guinness.
Split the G.
If anyone who works or can get us in touch with Guinness, or Guinness wants to get in touch with us, email us.
I'm sure they really need our help.
All our drinking related podcasts we can do.
Go
Guinness
to New
with.
Orleans.
I think Guinness needs our help for sure in the marketing department.
Get us in touch with us for New Orleans, please.
So the pregnant pause. I'm serious. Get in touch.
Do we want to mention Bob Uecker, the voice of the Brewers and just general legend? And he's the guy who just a bit outside.
Yeah, Major League.
Yeah,
legend.
Tried the corner and missed.
All right, Pete.
Just a bit outside.
I say so many Bob Uecker quotes throughout the course of my life. Like the other one that I always like to say is, oh shit, now I'm totally blanking on it. I lost my train of thought.
Crumbled under the pulled a Darnold.
No pressure. It's just a eulogy.
Out here, guys.
Bright lights, too bright.
Oh fuck! What is it? Nah, whatever. Come back to me.
Okay.
One of the first articles I ever wrote at the Ringer, literally in 2016, was that Major League is the most realistic baseball movie of all time because it like covers baseball like The Wire. It's like from every angle. Like, you got like the ownership angle, you got the manager angle, you got all the players.
Here's how it
you
really
got
works.
the obviously like Bob Uecker's in there and it's amazing. You got all the different angles. You got like the beat writers doing like the jag-off motion at the beginning of the season. They're like, oh God, another fucking season of this team. You got all the fans who are like, these guys stink. Such a good movie. Oh, I remembered what I was going to say. The Bob Uecker thing was like, not the best color man in the league for nothing, folks. I think I say that like once a week.
That's me when I promise.
Got anything to add on that? No, not really. Not the best color man in the league for nothing, folks. Bob Uecker, legend.
Also, David Lynch just passed away. The director.
What?
Yeah. Today.
When?
Day.
Like a couple hours ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I never watched Twin Peaks. DK, did you?
I did. Very strange show.
Yeah.
But I think it's another one of those shows that's like a little nostalgic. It's like set in Washington, back in the 80s or whatever it is. And so I think it hits home for people around here a little bit more.
I never saw Twin Peaks, but now I might be inspired.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks is like one of those shows where it starts out pretty normal. Oh, it's this detective trying to solve a crime. And then it's like, by the end, you're like, what the fuck?
Is there a scene in like a red room and there's like babies speaking
like
backwards?
Fucking
Twin Peaks is one of those shows that I think for like when I was a fact checker for the website, I had to like read a bunch of like articles on. I had to just check certain plot points or whatever, and I ended up reading Wikipedia descriptions of episodes, and I was just like, I have no idea what the fucking show is about. Like, I actually have learned a lot about the plot, and I just came out and I was like, I couldn't tell you what this show is, what is going on here.
It's only 2 seasons, right? It's short, but I know it came back.
They did like a remake, but I didn't watch that. Yeah,
I think the original is only a couple seasons.
Yeah, I think so too. In fact, I don't know if I only think I watched 1 season ever. Just a bit outside. Tried for the corner and missed.
All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Bob Uecker. Thank you, David Lynch. Thank you, Kai and Carlos, for producing this episode. Thank you, Austin. Thank you everyone for listening. Email sortingfantasyfootball@gmail.com for what do we want? Anyone who's in Guinness can get us in touch. Anyone who thought it was Abe Lincoln in the meme, let me know personally. Please.
Did we put up a poll for that?
We did. The poll was like,
let me pull it up.
I don't know how it was worded, but it didn't. I don't think it's like
didn't translate.
Yeah.
What do you mean it didn't translate?
Like it didn't give you the real answer of maybe it did. I don't know. Go back to the thing.
Let me pull it up.
Just a bit outside.
Does the
Drive to the
town hall
corner.
meme guy look like Abe Lincoln? Yes, 34%. I'll take a
Oh,
third.
it's not does he look like Abe Lincoln? It's did you
It's-
think he was Abe Lincoln?
See, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly. It should have been. Did you think that was Abe Lincoln?
Yeah.
Also, shockingly, 65% still said no.
That's crazy. He obviously, everyone's caught up on the beard thing. Look up Abe Lincoln before the beard. Like, he looks exactly like him. In fact, I didn't even mention this. On the Wikipedia article for the Norman Rockwell painting, it says that Norman Rockwell based the guy off Abe fucking Lincoln.
I think actually Heifetz is right in that it does kind of look like Abe Lincoln.
Norman
I'm not
Rockwell
disputing
it literally says Norman Rockwell based that person's
Yeah.
face off
Yeah.
Abe Lincoln.
It's not that wild. It's not that wild that you thought it was Abe Lincoln. It's the confidence. Remember, it's the confidence of like shutting us down and being like,
Yeah.
"No, it's Abe Lincoln."
Well,
He was wearing a flannel and a leather jacket. So I guess if it was like the modern president or paintings of presidents in a modern way, I get it. But
I thought making fun of the painting was part of the meme and why it became a meme. I thought the whole thing was supposed to be
Like
ridiculous.
Abe Lincoln, vampire hunter,
Like, I know he didn't wear those clothes. I thought that was part of the joke.
Right.
It's like, I'm Abe Lincoln wearing
a
fucking new
modern day
clothes.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's not as crazy in retrospect. Let's be honest.
no, but yeah, it wasn't about you thinking he looked like him. It was that you were so confident that was Abe Lincoln.
Right.
Anyway, strong opinions, loosely held. Thank you, Abe Lincoln. Thank you, Lord.
Lauren. Oh God, I just hit puberty.
Woo.
Thank you.
Hold on, ready? Lauren.
Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Shabuzi,
Oh, yeah.
who I don't know anything about. Craig, tell me. Fill me in.
Dude,
You mentioned Shabuzi the other day, and I don't know anything about
he
it.
has that one song that's kind of annoying that's always on the fucking radio.
It's good. You're the king of like pop music's actually good. Why don't you like?
I do think pop music's actually good, but I think that song is mediocre.
Wait, hold
That,
on,
like
hold on.
pour
hold
me
on.
another shot of whiskey
Yes.
or whatever.
Wait, this is important.
It's a
Can you guys do me a
Target
favor?
song, which those start to bother me.
They're in like you hear it in Target.
Yeah.
Can you guys do me a favor? Can
I
you
went to
Google
Target the other day.
Shabuzi?
Yeah. Wait, what'd
Does
you say?
Google tilt when you do that? Like the screen tilt?
Yes,
like
it did.
It's called Tipsy, a bar song, and so it's like the
Oh
screen
my
tilt. Is that an
God.
ad?
What if it's like it's like SpawnCon.
It's like an
Interesting.
Easter egg. Someone,
That's kinda
everyone
cool.
listening right now. Let me do it on my phone. Let me see if it
When
happens on
you
your phone,
Google
too. I'm on
Ringer
a
Fantasy
laptop.
Football Show, there should be like piss just like dripping down the screen.
Down.
It takes you to like the gentleman's piss.
Oh
clip.
my God, it happens on your phone too. Oh, that's so weird. Google Shabuzi. It's SHA.
How do they get Google to do that?
Also,
Seems
it's
like
like-
that would cost $1 billion.
I feel like
Songs about-
Google probably just did it.
Also, the song's about getting drunk, and Google's like, sure, we'll have a tipsy webpage for you.
Do you think they asked Google to do it, or Google was like, "Hey, that's funny"?
Probably
I love that
they asked
Google-
Google to do it.
No offense to Google, but it was much funnier when you had all these doodles and shit. When I could Google the difference between a sauce and a dressing, and it wouldn't tell me that Gemini wasn't telling me dressing's what you do to a wound. Like it was, when your product worked, it was a little more fun to play around with this whole thing. That's kind of weird that they could just do that.
I know.
All right, well, try it right now at home.
Also, try splitting the G while you're at it.
Split
It's a
some
good
G's
song.
this weekend, folks.
I feel like I'm going to get a lot of shit for not knowing that term.
Oh, you're fine.
Gotta own up to it. I like Guinness. I drink
You're
Guinness all the time. I
shotgunning
just
beers
didn't
at
know
42. I don't want anyone questioning your
Yeah, honestly, fuck those
Drinking.
that. Fair.
All right, goodbye, everyone.